Hi everybody, I'm Steve and I'm here in Texas, DeKalb, Texas, and I took a 500-mile detour just to come down and visit the final resting place of Dan Blocker. He played Joe Cartwright on the popular Western TV show in the 1960s, Bonanza. Who remembers Bonanza? Who's a fan of Bonanza and a fan of actor Dan Blocker? I also recently visited the final resting places of Michael Landon, who played little Joe Cartwright on the show, and actor Lorne Green, who played Ben Cartwright on the show. And I'll show you their grave sites as well. Thanks for joining me on another trip down memory lane. So the map says this is supposed to be called Cemetery Road, but it's actually called Woodmen. It is Woodmen Cemetery, and when I drove by earlier, I said there's the funeral home, so it must be nearby, and not realizing it was right behind the funeral home. So it's right behind the funeral home, and the Dollar General store is the Woodmen Cemetery. And you can see from the sign at the entry gate, it's actually the DeKalb Woodmen Cemetery. And at the bottom of the map is Dan Blocker's name, indicating that he's in Section 8, which would be the second right-hand turn just inside the gate. I'm trying to stay positive on this trip, but when you drive thousands of miles and spend thousands of dollars for a vacation, it's pretty disappointing when the weather is really lousy and rains most of the time. Especially since I planned this trip to be during the non-rainy summer season. But the wind is even worse, and every cemetery I've visited so far in this trip has been extremely windy. iPhones seem to be designed to pick up every little breeze and to amplify it into a roar, and my very expensive fuzzy microphone windscreen cover has been no match for the wind on this trip. So most of my videos have been completely ruined, and I've had to do a lot of heavy editing to salvage what you see here. But other than that, the trip has been great so far. And it's been raining all morning, and the news says there might even be a tornado here. So I'm happy the sun came out just a little bit, just for a few minutes, so I can visit Dan Blocker's final resting place, which is right here. It's his family plot. It looks like his parents and siblings, and it looks like they're all together, which is really nice. So this is the family marker, and then these are his relatives here. And also here. I'm guessing this was probably his father, Shaq Blocker. And his mother, Mary, just to his left. She died in 1998, 25 years after her son. This looks like a younger sibling. Blocker appeared in dozens of movies and TV shows during his career, but he'll probably always best be remembered for his role as Joe Cartwright, the kind-hearted, gentle giant middle son on Bonanza. When Blocker died unexpectedly and shockingly at the young age of 43 from a pulmonary embolism following gallbladder surgery, the popular TV show was already in its 13th season. It lasted one more season after his death and then was canceled. And someone's placed a little angel and a little dog with a bone. And right straight ahead behind that tree, that's the funeral home. So I'm guessing that's probably, if that existed back in 1972, that's probably where his funeral service was held. I'm not sure you'll be able to hear any of this, but I'm going to pan around so you can see the cemetery. I noticed a couple of really interesting headstones on my way in, and I'll show you those in a minute, but look straight ahead. Are those cows? So this one even has a calf. A couple of small ones. How cool is this? I don't want to scare them, but I'd like to get a little bit of a closer look. Well, that one looks pretty skinny with all this grass around. What a great place to be buried if you were a cowboy, whether a TV cowboy or a real cowboy in real life. So of course, you know, I have to ask you, Have any of you been to a cemetery and seen cows grazing just feet away from some of the grave sites? For me, this is a first. I have seen horses before in cemeteries, and of course I've seen lots of coyotes in California cemeteries, and quite a few deer. But this is the first time I've seen cows grazing right next to a cemetery. How about you guys? And speaking of seeing horses in cemeteries, this headstone is kind of appropriate, don't you think? Now, I've seen just about every image you can imagine on headstones, but I don't recall ever seeing an image of a rifle on someone's headstone. So this one's a first. But this is Texas after all, so it's not that surprising. And I'm just wondering if this guy was more of a rifleman fan rather than a Bonanza fan. What do you think? Wow, look at this great headstone in the shape of the state of Texas. They were obviously very proud of where they lived. I also visited the grave sites of Lorne Green and Michael Landon last year in Culver City. They're both buried at Hillside Cemetery in Culver City, but I wanted to wait and do this video after I visited Dan Blocker so I could show you all of their graves together. Actor Pernell Roberts played Adam Cartwright, the oldest son on the show, and years later he starred in Trapper John M.D. from 1979 to 1986. Of the four main cast members, he lived to be the oldest. He died in 2010 at the age of 81 in Malibu, California, from pancreatic cancer. According to findagrave.com, he was cremated and his ashes were given to his family, so he has no final resting place to visit at this time. Well, it looks like my timing was pretty good. I just visited Dan Blocker's final resting place and managed to get back into the car before the heavy rain and hail started coming down. I was planning to drive through the cemetery to show you what it looks like, but 5 minutes after I arrived, a funeral procession arrived. So I've been waiting to do that, and now it looks like I've been rained out. I've never been in a tornado, and I hope to keep it that way. A little rain and maybe some hail is okay. So back in sunny Southern California, not far from the beach, is a very famous Hillside Cemetery where hundreds of famous people are buried and interred. Actor Michael Landon and actor Lorne Green, who both starred in and became famous for their roles on Bonanza, are buried just a few yards from each other. It's kind of nice to know that the TV father and son remained friends in real life and are now linked together forever at Hillside Cemetery. Just inside the front gate, on the right-hand side and up the hill, is the very impressive main mausoleum where Michael Landon is interred. Landon is interred in an above-ground crypt, while Green chose a ground burial in the courtyard right next to Landon's private mausoleum. Like Blocker, Michael Landon also died pretty young. He died at the age of 54 on July 1st, 1991 in Malibu, California, from pancreatic cancer. In another one of those strange coincidences, Pernell Roberts also died in Malibu, California, from pancreatic cancer. While Landon became very famous at a young age for his role as Little Joe Cartwright on Bonanza, he went on to two other very popular TV series as well. He starred in Little House on the Prairie from 1974 to 1983 and on Highway to Heaven from 1984 to 1989. So I'll pan around so you can see how nice this area is where Michael Landon's crypt is located. So did you also grow up like me watching Bonanza as a kid? And if so, who was your favorite character? Was it Little Joe, Hoss, Adam, or maybe it was Ben Cartwright, one of TV's most unforgettable dads? I think Hoss was probably my favorite character, followed by Little Joe. And if you walk along this corridor heading east, on the right-hand side you'll see the crypt of Max Factor. And if you continue on, you'll see the grassy area on the left-hand side, and this is where Lorne Green is buried. Actor Lorne Green appeared in many movies and TV shows during his long career, but he'll probably always best be remembered as the patriarch of the family on Bonanza in his role as Ben Cartwright. He died at the age of 72 on September 11th, 1987 in Santa Monica, California from pneumonia following surgery. If you like this video, you might also want to check out the videos displayed here. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when I upload future videos like these.